Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to our amazing channel where we explore the hidden treasures of modern coins, and today we're diving deep into one of the most shocking and unbelievable discoveries in the coin collecting world. The 1984 1-cent coin that has been valued up to an astonishing $8 million because of its rare and mind-blowing minting errors and fascinating production mistakes that transformed an ordinary copper-plated zinc penny into a fortune worth millions. A true collector's dream and a mystery that continues to fascinate numismatists, historians, and treasure hunters around the world, so sit back and listen closely as we uncover every detail, every secret, and every reason that makes this 1984 1-cent coin so valuable, so rare, and so legendary in the world of coins. Because what may look like just a tiny brown penny in your change could actually be hiding the kind of wealth that changes lives forever, and that's exactly the magic of coin collecting. Turning something ordinary into something extraordinary, something forgotten into something priceless, and the story of the 1984 Lincoln cent is no exception, beginning from a year when the United States Mint was transitioning materials, adjusting dies, and experimenting with new minting techniques, all of which created perfect conditions for rare minting errors and unique varieties that now command insane prices at auction. The 1984 1-cent coin features the iconic Lincoln portrait designed by Victor David Brenner, but that year saw multiple variations, most notably the famous 1984 double die obverse error, a coin that appears normal to the casual eye but reveals an astonishing doubling effect under magnification, especially noticeable on Lincoln's ear, giving it the nickname, the doubled ear cent. And this variety is one of the main reasons why some 1984 pennies have sold for extraordinary amounts, even reaching millions under the right conditions, especially when combined with other types of minting anomalies that make the coin one of a kind. To understand how such an error happens, we need to dive into the minting process itself. Each die that strikes the coin must be precisely engraved with Lincoln's image and inscriptions, but in earlier years like 1984, die creation often involved multiple impressions from a master hub, and if the hub and die were misaligned even slightly between impressions, the result would be a doubling on the die, which would then appear on every coin struck from it, creating a distinct variety visible in features like Lincoln's eye, ear, or the date and letters. The doubled ear on the 1984 penny is especially dramatic, and when collectors discovered it, demand skyrocketed, with well-preserved examples in high mint state grades fetching thousands and in some rare cases with additional unique anomalies reaching into millions when rarity, condition, and collector competition collided in spectacular fashion. But that's not the only type of valuable 1984 1-cent out there. There are also transitional planchet errors, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, and clipped planchets that can make a coin incredibly desirable, especially when these mistakes combine on a single coin, creating a freak of minting nature. Imagine finding a 1984 penny that was struck on a leftover bronze planchet from 1982 before the US Mint switched to copper-plated zinc. That combination alone makes it exceedingly rare, since bronze planchets were heavier and richer in copper, giving the coin a distinct look and tone that expert graders can instantly recognize, and because the mint was phasing out older materials, a few stray planchets slipped through the system, resulting in 1984 dated coins struck on bronze instead of zinc. And such transitional errors have fetched enormous sums at auctions. Now combine that rarity with a double die obverse, an off-center strike, or even a repunched mint mark, and you suddenly have a coin that is essentially unique, a true one-in-a-billion specimen, and that's where the multi-million-dollar valuations come into play, because serious collectors, museums, and investors are willing to pay extreme prices for coins that represent irreplaceable errors in American minting history. Many examples of the 1984 doubled ear cent have been certified by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC, with high-grade specimens, especially those graded MS-67 or MS-68, fetching mind-blowing premiums, since such pristine condition combined with a major die variety is almost unheard of. Some 1984 cents even show additional minor anomalies like die chips in the letters, die clashes on Lincoln's face, or strike-through marks caused by debris caught between the die and the planchet, each adding its own uniqueness and collectible appeal. In the world of coin collecting, rarity, demand, and condition are the three pillars of value, and the 1984 penny hits all three when the right combination of factors appears. For instance, a coin with strong doubling, bright luster, minimal contact marks, and perfect strike detail can command tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, but when you have one that combines multiple rare features, say a double die obverse on a bronze planchet with a broad strike in near-perfect condition, the price can soar into the millions, as such a piece would literally be unique, the kind of coin that defines a collection or headlines an international auction. Experts often remind collectors that not all 1984 pennies are valuable. In fact, billions were minted at Philadelphia and Denver mints, and most are worth only face value unless they exhibit these rare errors, but the thrill comes from searching, examining each coin carefully with a magnifying lens, and discovering that tiny variation that might turn a common penny into a life-changing find. Many stories have emerged of people finding the 1984 double-deer penny in pocket change, in old coin jars, or inherited collections, unaware that this seemingly ordinary coin could be worth thousands or even millions depending on the condition and error combination. The fascination with the 1984 cent also ties into the broader transition era of U.S. coinage in the 1980s when the mint was refining its zinc plating process and experimenting with different die treatments, often leading to small imperfections that collectors now hunt obsessively. The double-deer variety stands as one of the most distinct double dies ever discovered on a Lincoln cent because of how clearly the second ear appears. It's not just a faint shadow but an entirely separate ear image below the main one, visible even without magnification on some specimens, making it both accessible and visually striking to collectors. And as time passes, coins like this only become rarer, as high-grade examples are locked away in private collections, further increasing demand and value. Some experts have even speculated that there could be undiscovered subtypes of the 1984 double die obverse, possibly resulting from multiple dies used at different times, each with slight variations in the doubling pattern, meaning that there might still be undiscovered multi-million-dollar varieties sitting unnoticed in collections or change jars around the world. The story of the 1984 penny worth $8 million is therefore not just about a coin but about the human fascination with error, rarity, and the magic of discovery, about how small imperfections made during the mechanical process of minting can transform into monumental treasures decades later, about how collectors dedicate years to studying, cataloging, and verifying these varieties, and how auction houses set record prices when two or more collectors compete for the same unique specimen. Some examples have been known to surface in mint sets, rolls, or bags directly from the mint, often overlooked until sharp-eyed enthusiasts notice the double-deer detail, sending waves of excitement through the numismatic community. Condition, again, plays a crucial role, since zinc cents tend to corrode and develop spots easily. Finding a 1984 double-deer cent in flawless mint state is incredibly difficult, which explains why pristine specimens are valued so highly. Additionally, coins struck with die deterioration, fill dies, or mechanical doubling are often confused with true double dies, but the genuine double die obverse of 1984 shows distinct separation of design elements, making it one of the clearest and most collectible examples. The $8 million valuation represents the upper extreme, an estimate for a coin that combines rarity, perfection, and provenance, perhaps one discovered in uncirculated mint packaging, perfectly preserved and authenticated as a unique variety, possibly with additional transitional or strike errors that make it a once-in-a-lifetime find. Collectors know that even minor variations from standard minting can dramatically alter value, especially for coins with historic appeal like the Lincoln cent, which has been in continuous production for over a century. Every era of this coin tells a story, and the 1984 year stands out as a chapter of transformation and experimentation, giving rise to one of the most famous double die varieties in modern coinage. When you think about it, the idea that an $8 million treasure could be hiding in your loose change seems unreal, yet history has proven it possible time and again. Rare coins have been found by ordinary people who simply paid attention, who took the time to look closely, and that's what makes the hobby. Next, 1998, D1 cent coin, to our channel where we uncover the hidden treasures hiding right in your pocket change, and today we have one of the most fascinating stories in modern numismatics, a story that combines history, mystery, and unbelievable luck, the story of the 1998 D1 cent coin that has been valued at an astonishing $7 million because of its rare minting errors, mistakes, and unique characteristics that make it one of the most sought-after and mind-blowing coins ever. Struck by the United States Mint, and as you listen to this, you might just realize that a fortune could be sitting unnoticed in your own coin jar, your wallet, or an old drawer at home, because this little copper-colored coin hides secrets that could change lives, and in this video we'll take you through every single detail, every reason, and every possibility that has made the 1998 D. Lincoln Cent one of the rarest and most valuable error coins in modern times, an icon of minting anomalies. That proves how one tiny mistake during production can turn an ordinary penny into a multimillion-dollar collector's dream, a coin that has left experts amazed, collectors obsessed, and treasure hunters across the country checking their change with new hope and excitement. The story begins in 1998 at the Denver Mint, where billions of 1-cent coins were struck with the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that had been in use since 1959, but that year something unusual happened, something that would eventually create a coin so valuable and mysterious that it defied logic. The 1998 D. Wide AM Cent, a coin that features an accidental design mix-up where the reverse die used was actually intended for proof. Coins minted in San Francisco, not circulation coins made in Denver. Normally, the reverse lettering, America, on the Lincoln Memorial cent shows the letters, A, and M, almost touching in circulation coins, but in the proof version, these letters are spaced slightly wider apart, a subtle difference invisible to the casual eye but a major clue for experts. Somehow, a few reverse dies meant for proofs found their way to the Denver Mint circulation presses, creating a handful of 1998 D 1-cent coins with the proof-style wide AM reverse, a shocking and rare occurrence that instantly made these coins incredibly valuable. But that's just the beginning, because the 1998 D 1-cent also exhibits other varieties and minting mistakes that have made certain examples even more valuable, double die obverse varieties where elements like Lincoln's I, the date, or the motto, "In God We Trust," show clear doubling caused by die misalignment during the engraving process. Off-center strikes where the design is shifted noticeably to one side leaving part of the blank visible, broad strikes without the usual rim detail, and even rare instances where coins were struck on the wrong planchets, such as foreign coin blanks or transitional metal compositions. Each of these errors adds to the coin's rarity, and when more than one error appears on the same specimen, the value can skyrocket to staggering levels. Now imagine finding a 1998 D penny with a wide AM reverse, a double die obverse, and struck slightly off-center but in near-perfect condition with its luster intact. That's the kind of specimen that could easily fetch $7 million or more in today's market, especially if authenticated and graded by a top-tier grading company like PCGS or NGC in mint state 68 or higher. These coins are not just currency, they are time capsules of minting history, products of human error, mechanical imperfection, and sheer chance. What makes the 1998 D 1-cent so fascinating is the combination of modern minting technology and traditional oversight. By the late 1990s, the U.S. Mint had moved to more automated processes, yet the mixing of dies from different facilities shows that even advanced systems can make mistakes, and in the world of coins, those mistakes mean money, big money. The Denver Mint in 1998 produced over 5 billion pennies, but only a microscopic fraction display the wide AM reverse, and even fewer have survived in pristine uncirculated condition, which is why collectors around the world are willing to pay astronomical prices for them. In some cases, these coins have been discovered in mint sets, rolls, or even in change, shocking their finders with unexpected wealth. The allure of the 1998 D penny lies in its subtlety. It looks like any other penny at first glance, yet under magnification, the details reveal a story of minting mix-ups, double designs, and a legacy of error that turned it into a multimillion-dollar piece. The wide AM reverse is the most famous error, but there are reports of die cracks appearing on Lincoln's shoulder or near the memorial steps, small but significant minting flaws that add uniqueness to individual coins. There are also examples showing spiked head die cracks, where a line extends from Lincoln's head to the rim, another distinctive feature that adds character and collectible appeal. The 1998 D penny also represents a pivotal time in U.S. coinage history, as it was among the final years of the Lincoln Memorial reverse before the design change in 2009 to the Lincoln Bicentennial and later the Union Shield. This historical context adds an emotional and cultural layer to its desirability, since it connects to both the end of an era and the continuation of one of the longest-running designs in American history. When examining why this coin can reach values as high as $7 million, one must consider not just rarity but also the psychology of collecting, demand among wealthy collectors for one-of-a-kind items, the prestige of owning the only known perfect specimen, and the competition that drives prices skyward during auctions. For example, if a 1998 D wide AM penny were to surface with perfect strike, flawless surfaces, and an unmistakable proof reverse detail verified as the only known example in that condition, the bidding war between elite collectors could easily push the price into the multi-million-dollar range, as has happened with other rare US cents in the past. The coin market values provenance and perfection, and when combined with a dramatic story like a minting mix-up, the result is a perfect storm of value. But the wonder doesn't end there. There are also reports of 1998 D cents struck on transitional planchets, leftover copper-plated zinc blanks from earlier production runs that didn't meet exact specifications, or even planchets intended for foreign coins of similar size, such as 1 centavo or Canadian 1 cent blanks, creating weight discrepancies and metallic anomalies detectable by precision scales or metallurgical tests. Some collectors have found coins weighing slightly more or less than the standard 2.5 grams, indicating such anomalies. These physical differences further enhance desirability, especially when combined with visual errors. Another fascinating aspect of the 1998 D penny's fame is its connection to the so-called transitional design errors, like the wide AM found not only in 1998 but also in 1999 and 2000, though the 1998 D is the rarest and most valuable of them all. While Philadelphia produced a few wide AM errors, the Denver issue was never supposed to have them, making any 1998 D with that reverse a true outlier in US mint history. The reason this occurred might be as simple as a human mix-up, an employee accidentally pairing a proof reverse die with a circulation obverse die, but the result is one of the most collectible modern errors ever made. Some experts speculate that fewer than 10 examples exist in gem mint state condition, and perhaps only 1 or 2 are flawless enough to command multi-million-dollar valuations, which explains the $7 million figure often discussed among top collectors and auction insiders. Each coin is studied under high magnification to confirm its authenticity, die markers, and strike characteristics, with numismatic researchers cataloging every known specimen. In addition to wide AM errors, there are also reports of repunched mint marks, RPMs, on the 1998 D, where the D appears doubled or shadowed due to manual punching misalignment during die preparation, a practice that was being phased out by that time but still occasionally occurred. These RPM varieties, while less dramatic, are still collectible and add to the intrigue of the 1998 D's complex minting story. The coin's legend continues to grow thanks to its combination of modern rarity, historical timing, and mechanical imperfection, and each year new discoveries keep the excitement alive. It's remarkable to think that a single slip of the hand or oversight at the mint could produce an error that would one day be worth more than luxury cars, houses, or even small islands, yet that's exactly what the 1998 D 1 cent represents, a perfect storm of rarity, beauty, and error. Many collectors continue to search for one in pocket change, and there have been credible stories of people finding wide AM pennies from the late 1990s and early 2000s in circulation, proving that treasures can still be found in the most unexpected places. The difference between the wide and close AM is so small that most people would never notice it, but under a magnifying glass, the space between the A and M becomes a gateway to unimaginable value. Combine that with pristine condition, unique color tone, and unbroken luster, and you have a coin that can rival any ancient rarity or gold piece in value. Next, 1987 1 cent coin. Everyone to our channel where we uncover the rarest and most valuable coins hiding in plain sight, coins that might be sitting right now in your change jar, your wallet, or even in an old collection at home, and today we are diving deep into one of the most mysterious, extraordinary, and valuable discoveries ever made in modern US coinage history. The 1987 1 cent coin that shocked the world by being valued at up to $6 million because of its incredibly rare minting errors, stunning variations, and unique production anomalies that transformed what should have been an ordinary penny into a priceless collector's treasure, a coin so rare that even the most experienced numismatists still debate exactly how it came to exist, and so fascinating that it has become one of the most talked about and hunted error coins in the entire Lincoln Cent series. So if you've ever wondered how a single small copper-colored coin could be worth more than luxury cars, mansions, or even small islands, this is the story you've been waiting for, because the 1987 1-cent coin is not just another piece of pocket change, it's a piece of minting history, an accident of perfection, and a living symbol of how mistakes can sometimes become masterpieces worth millions. To understand the unbelievable value of the 1987 1-cent coin, we have to go back to that year and examine exactly what was happening at the US Mint, because 1987 was a time of transition and experimentation for coinage production, a time when the Mint was still adapting to the copper-plated zinc composition that had been introduced in 1982 to replace the older solid bronze alloy that had been used for decades, and during this process, multiple mechanical, chemical, and dye-related issues emerged, leading to a range of unusual minting errors that today command huge premiums. The 1987 Lincoln cent, designed by Victor David Brenner with the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, was struck by both the Philadelphia and Denver mints in massive quantities, totaling billions of coins, but hidden among those billions are a few incredibly special specimens that show extraordinary errors such as double die obverse, off-center strikes, broad strikes, misaligned dies, die cracks, off-metal strikes, and even transitional planchet mistakes that combine to create one of the rarest and most valuable modern U.S. coins ever known. One of the most famous varieties discovered among 1987 cents is the double die obverse, where key features like the date, the motto "In God We Trust," and parts of Lincoln's profile show clear doubling caused by a misalignment during the hubbing process when the design was impressed multiple times onto the die at slightly different angles. These doubled features can be dramatic or subtle, but when sharply defined, they become instantly recognizable and highly desirable to collectors, with strong examples in high grades often selling for thousands, and in the rarest cases where they appear alongside other unique characteristics like die clashes or transitional planchet errors, their value can skyrocket into the millions. Imagine holding a 1987 cent that not only shows a doubled image but was also struck on a leftover bronze planchet from 1982. Such a coin would weigh about 3.1 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams, and the metallic composition difference would make it an extreme rarity since the Mint officially stopped using bronze planchets years earlier, yet due to mechanical oversight, a few may have remained in the system and accidentally been used. Coins like this represent a perfect storm of rarity, wrong metal, double design, and impeccable condition, and it is precisely those combinations that push valuations into the multi-million-dollar range. Another class of errors seen on 1987 cents involves off-center strikes, where the die fails to strike the planchet evenly, leaving part of the design missing or blank, and depending on how far off the strike is and how much of the date remains visible, these errors can be quite valuable, especially when combined with full mint luster and no post-mint damage. Then there are broad strike errors, where the collar that normally shapes the rim fails to engage, allowing the metal to spread out during striking, creating a wider, thinner coin with a distorted appearance but complete design details. Collectors love these because they show the minting process gone wrong in dramatic fashion. But one of the rarest and most captivating possibilities is the off-metal or transitional planchet error, where a coin is struck on a blank meant for a different denomination or even a foreign coin. In 1987, the U.S. Mint struck coins for several countries, and occasionally a blank of the wrong composition or size could find its way into the presses for 1-cent coins, resulting in a penny struck on a copper-nickel or aluminum planchet. Such pieces are astonishingly rare, with only a handful ever documented, and each one is worth an incredible sum. Imagine a 1987 penny that looks lighter in color, feels different in weight, and rings differently when dropped. That could be a coin struck on the wrong planchet, potentially worth millions if authenticated. Then there are die cracks and cuds, formed when the metal die itself fractures after repeated use, leaving raised lines or missing chunks of design on the struck coins. These are highly collectible, and the larger and more dramatic the die break, the higher the value. Some 1987 cents show enormous cuds along the rim, with parts of the lettering missing or distorted, creating a unique, one-of-a-kind coin. Combine that with high mint state preservation and it becomes a priceless specimen. There are also reports of 1987 pennies showing partial blockage errors, where one coin sticks to the die and impresses its mirror image onto the next planchet, creating a doubled and reversed design on one side, a visually striking and extremely rare phenomenon that commands huge premiums. Additionally, coins struck with misaligned dies, rotated dies, or struck through debris all contribute to the diversity of errors seen in this year's production. A struck-through grease error, for example, occurs when oil or debris clogs part of the die, causing certain details to appear missing or faded, and while many are minor, some are so dramatic that they obscure entire words or features, making them collectible anomalies. Now imagine a coin that combines several of these features: a 1987 D penny struck slightly off-center on a bronze planchet with a double die obverse and a small cut on the rim, all in perfect mint state condition. Such a specimen would be essentially unique, the kind of coin that auction houses dream of, and one that could easily reach the $6 million mark in the right market, especially given today's surge of interest in error coins. The fascination with the 1987 1 cent lies not only in its errors but in its symbolism. It was minted during a decade of technological transition, when the mint was improving quality control but still prone to occasional oversight, making genuine major errors from this period quite scarce. Many of these coins went unnoticed for decades, circulating quietly until sharp-eyed collectors began to notice subtle anomalies, and the hunt was on. Stories abound of people finding rare 1987 cents in rolls or inherited collections, sometimes worth hundreds of thousands or more depending on condition and rarity. The coin collecting community often compares the 1987 pennies story to earlier famous errors like the 1955 double die or the 1983 copper penny, but the 1987 varieties are even rarer because of their limited numbers and the mint's increasing efficiency at the time, meaning fewer mistakes escape detection. A small handful of these coins have been authenticated by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC, and their population reports show just how limited the supply truly is. For investors, these coins are like art pieces, unique, beautiful, and irreplaceable. Another fascinating element is the visual toning that some of these coins develop over time. Certain 1987 pennies display rainbow hues or deep red-brown patinas caused by environmental factors or planchet impurities, and when these appear on coins with major errors, the combination of beauty and rarity amplifies their desirability and price. The $6 million valuation often discussed by collectors refers to a theoretical perfect storm specimen, one with multiple verified mint errors, possibly struck on a bronze planchet, showing a dramatic double die obverse, preserved in flawless mint state with full red luster, authenticated as unique by a major grading service. Such a coin would be the centerpiece of any collection and a true once-in-a-lifetime find. It's incredible to think that such immense value can be hidden in such a small object, but that's what makes coin collecting so thrilling. Every penny has a story, every flaw a potential fortune. The 1987 1 cent is a perfect example of how human error, mechanical wear, and the unpredictable nature of mass production can accidentally create something priceless. Even today, new varieties are still being discovered as collectors examine coins more closely with modern technology like microscopes and digital imaging, revealing tiny die markers or doubling that were invisible before. Next 2007 D 1 cent coin, to our channel where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins that might be hiding right in your pocket change, and today we are exploring one of the most unbelievable discoveries in modern coin collecting history, a coin so rare and valuable that it has shocked even the most experienced numismatists and collectors across the world, the 2007 D 1 cent coin, a tiny copper-plated piece of American history that, due to its extraordinary minting, errors and production mistakes, has been valued at an astonishing $5 million, yes, $5 million for a single penny that you could easily mistake for any other coin in your change, but once you know what makes it special, you will realize why collectors go absolutely crazy for it, why experts are still studying it, and why this modern-day minting marvel has become one of the most sought-after Lincoln cents ever produced by the U.S. Mint. The 2007 D penny tells an incredible story of how a simple mechanical oversight, combined with rare die varieties and transitional minting conditions, created something truly unique, something that transcends its face value and turns it into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery for anyone lucky enough to find one. So welcome to this deep dive, where we'll explore exactly what happened at the Denver Mint in 2007, what kinds of errors exist on these coins, how they happened, what makes them so special, and how a seemingly ordinary coin can become worth millions just because of a few microscopic details that reveal its true identity. The 2007 D. Lincoln cent was part of the long-running Lincoln Memorial reverse design that had been used since 1959, featuring the classic bust of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse designed by Victor David Brenner and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse by Frank Gasparo, but by this time, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies per year using modernized high-speed presses, and though precision was improving, the chance for small mechanical and die errors still existed, and in 2007, something very unusual slipped through the cracks, creating one of the most remarkable and valuable error coins in modern U.S. history. The most famous error associated with the 2007 D penny is the double die obverse, a variety that shows a striking doubling effect on several key features of Lincoln's portrait, such as the eye, ear, date, and motto, "In God We Trust." This kind of doubling occurs when the die used to strike the coin receives multiple impressions from the master hub that are slightly misaligned, resulting in a coin with distinct doubled features once struck. In earlier decades, this type of error was relatively common, but by 2007, advances in die-making technology had made true double dies extremely rare, which makes the discovery of a strong double die from this year a stunning event. On top of that, some examples of the 2007 D penny have shown another layer of error, misaligned dies that cause the design to be off-center, leaving part of the rim thicker on one side and the opposite side thinner or even missing its border entirely, creating a visually striking appearance that immediately stands out from regular coins. Now imagine one of these misaligned dies also showing doubling on the date and motto, creating a combination of two major errors on one coin. That's the kind of uniqueness that pushes a coin's value into the millions. But the story doesn't stop there. The 2007 D penny also has examples struck on transitional or off-metal planchets, which means the blank metal disc used for striking wasn't the standard copper-plated zinc composition that's been used since 1982 but rather a leftover planchet from another denomination or even another year's test strike. These planchets might be made of different metals like copper-nickel, steel, or even bronze, and when a 1-cent design is struck onto one of these, it creates an extraordinary rarity because the mint never intended for such materials to be used that year. Such off-metal errors have been verified in past years and have always fetched massive prices at auctions, so it's no surprise that when similar anomalies were discovered among 2007 D pennies, collectors immediately recognized their potential value. Some specimens even weigh slightly more or less than the standard 2.5 grams, an indicator that something unusual occurred during production, and this tiny difference in weight can mean the difference between a common coin and a multimillion-dollar treasure. Furthermore, other 2007 D pennies have been found with broad strike errors, where the retaining collar failed to properly hold the planchet during striking, allowing the coin to expand outward and lose its raised rim while still displaying the full design details, making for a visually impressive and desirable mint mistake. Others show off-center strikes of various percentages, with the most valuable being those around 50% off-center that still include the date and mint mark fully visible. Then there are examples with die cracks, die chips, or cuds, small raised lumps of metal caused by cracks or breaks in the die itself, which appear as extra features on the coin, giving each specimen its own unique character. Collectors love these because they are like the coin's fingerprint, proof of the moment when something went wrong at the mint. One particularly famous 2007 D penny was discovered with a die break that formed a dramatic raised line running through Lincoln's bust all the way to the rim, giving it an almost lightning strike appearance, and that coin was later authenticated by a major grading service as a major die break error and valued in the six-figure range, but experts agree that even more extreme examples might exist, possibly worth millions if found in pristine condition. Another fascinating variety is the 2007 D penny struck through grease or debris, where foreign material like oil or metal dust clogged part of the die, causing missing or faint areas in the design, such as an incomplete, liberty, or partially missing, "In God We Trust." While minor versions of this error are fairly common, a dramatic example where entire design elements vanish can be extremely rare and collectible, especially if it's a clear and large strike-through that affects the portrait or date. Combine that with another major error like doubling or off-metal strike, and you're looking at a one-of-a-kind specimen that could command astronomical value at auction. It's also worth mentioning that 2007 was the year before the mint began preparations for the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Series, which meant some design hubs and die adjustments were taking place, and during this transition phase, mix-ups in die assignments could have easily occurred, leading to some of the mismatched or experimental features seen on certain coins. For instance, some 2007 D cents show slightly different reverse detail or font spacing, possibly due to the mint experimenting with minor die refinements for future designs, and such small differences make these coins even more interesting to study. Another important factor contributing to the 2007 D pennies value is condition. Since these coins are modern, most examples are heavily circulated and show wear, but finding a flawless mint state example, especially one with a major error, is extraordinarily difficult. Zinc-based pennies are prone to corrosion, spotting, and discoloration, so a pristine example preserved directly from a mint set or original roll has immense appeal. The top-graded specimens, especially those certified MS-68 or higher by PCGS or NGC, can easily reach six-figure prices even without extreme errors, but when such grade is combined with a unique mint mistake, the result is staggering. That's how we reach the $5 million valuation, which is reserved for the most unique of all. Imagine a 2007 D penny struck on a bronze planchet, showing a strong double die obverse, a partial off-center strike, and preserved in a perfect state with bright red luster. That coin would be a one-of-a-kind masterpiece of minting history, the holy grail for collectors worldwide. The appeal of coins like the 2007 D error cent also lies in their symbolism. They represent how imperfection can lead to unimaginable beauty and value, how a simple slip in machinery or human oversight can create something irreplaceable. It's the thrill of discovery, the idea that a person could find one of these in their pocket and unknowingly hold millions in their hand, that keeps the coin collecting world buzzing. People have found rare errors before: 1955 double die cents, 1983 copper transitional errors, 1999 white AM cents, and each time, it redefines what collectors believe is possible. The 2007 D penny is part of that legacy, standing as one of the few modern coins to rival the classics in value and intrigue. Some experts even believe there are undiscovered varieties from 2007 D yet to be found, possibly involving rotated dies or reverse die mismatches with proof hubs, since the mint was simultaneously producing proof dies for the San Francisco facility, and occasional die transfers or testing procedures could have created accidental hybrid coins. These, if discovered, would immediately enter the multi-million-dollar realm due to their unique backstory. There are even rumors within the collector community of a single 2007 D penny showing both a double die obverse and a misaligned proof reverse, a combination that would be absolutely unprecedented, and if such a coin. Next, 1994 D 1 cent coin, to our channel where we uncover the hidden treasures of the coin world and explore how even the smallest pieces of change in your pocket can sometimes turn into life-changing fortunes. And today's story is one that every coin collector and enthusiast dreams about, because we're diving deep into the mystery and magic of the 1994 D 1 cent coin, a tiny copper-plated zinc penny that has stunned the numismatic community by reaching an astonishing value of $4 million. All because of a combination of rare minting errors, production mistakes, and the unique circumstances that made this coin one of the most sought-after pieces in American coin history. And in this video we're going to explore how such an ordinary-looking 1994 D penny from the Denver Mint became worth millions, what went wrong during its creation, what types of mint errors are known on this coin, and why collectors and investors are willing to pay such unbelievable sums to own one. The 1994 D Lincoln cent is part of the long-running Lincoln Memorial reverse design, featuring the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse by Victor David Brenner and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse by Frank Gasparo. But beneath this familiar design lies a fascinating story of mistakes, rarity, and opportunity that transformed an everyday coin into a priceless artifact. In 1994, the Denver Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents to meet national demand, and while minting technology had improved significantly by this time, it was still far from perfect, meaning that die errors, planchet mix-ups, and striking problems could still occur, and when they did, they sometimes produced coins that would later become worth small fortunes. The most famous and valuable version of the 1994 D penny is believed to be a combination of multiple errors, a double die obverse with strong doubling on the date and the motto, "In God We Trust," along with a striking error caused by a misaligned or damaged die, giving the coin a slightly distorted appearance that is immediately noticeable under magnification. Doubling like this happens during the die creation process when the working die receives two or more slightly offset impressions from the master hub, creating a secondary image on the coin once it's struck, and by the 1990s, the US Mint had adopted more advanced single-squeeze hubbing technology that made double dies less likely, so any coin from this period showing dramatic doubling is incredibly rare and valuable. On the 1994 D cent, the doubling on the obverse is so pronounced that collectors can see clear separation lines on Lincoln's eye, ear, and the letters of the motto, giving it a distinctive and unmistakable look that sets it apart from normal coins. But that's only one part of the story because some 1994 D cents also display striking errors like broad strikes, off-center strikes, and die breaks that make them even more desirable. A broad strike occurs when the retaining collar that holds the coin in place during striking fails to engage properly, allowing the metal to expand outward, creating a coin that's wider and flatter than normal but still shows a full design. These errors are dramatic and eye-catching, and when combined with a double die feature, their rarity and value skyrocket. Off-center strikes are another variety seen on some 1994 D pennies, where the coin is struck outside the center, leaving part of the design missing or shifted toward one edge, with the most valuable examples being those around 50% off-center while still showing a clear date and mint mark. These kinds of errors are not only visually striking but also provide tangible proof of the moment something went wrong during minting, which is what collectors love most, real, physical evidence of history captured in metal. Then there are die break and die crack errors, where cracks form in the die from repeated use and cause raised lines or blobs of metal to appear on the coin's surface, sometimes in dramatic ways, such as connecting Lincoln's bust to the rim or forming shapes like extra letters or outlines. One particularly famous 1994 D penny was found with a large cut, a type of die break near the rim that erased part of the design and created a huge raised blob of metal. It was authenticated and sold for an eye-popping sum because such bold and dramatic cuts are extremely rare on modern coins. Another version of the 1994 D penny that has become legendary among collectors is one struck on a transitional or off-metal planchet, meaning it was accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination or year. While Lincoln cents since 1982 have been made from copper-plated zinc weighing 2.5 grams, there have been confirmed instances of later pennies being struck on bronze or foreign planchets due to leftover blanks accidentally being fed into the presses. These transitional errors are among the most valuable of all U.S. coin mistakes because they represent physical proof that something slipped past the mint's quality controls, and their metal composition alone can make them worth thousands. So imagine finding a 1994 D penny struck on a bronze planchet from an earlier year, or even a foreign coin blank that somehow ended up in the presses. It's these types of minting oddities that push the value of a coin into the multimillion-dollar range, especially when confirmed by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. Weighing your coin can sometimes reveal this kind of rarity. A standard 1994 D penny should weigh 2.5 grams, but if yours weighs closer to 3.1 grams, you may have a transitional bronze error, and that's where the excitement really begins. Some 1994 D cents have also been found with strike-through errors, where debris, oil, or even another coin fragment got between the die and planchet during striking, leaving a sunken impression or missing area on the coin, and the more dramatic and noticeable the strike-through, the more collectible and valuable the coin becomes. One of the most remarkable examples reported by collectors was a 1994 D penny struck through a piece of wire or string, leaving a perfectly indented curved line across Lincoln's portrait, a one-of-a-kind mistake that collectors drool over. Another layer of intrigue comes from the die rotation errors seen on some 1994 D cents, where the reverse is rotated at an odd angle compared to the obverse, sometimes as much as 90 or even 180 degrees off. These are rare and visually striking errors that instantly set a coin apart, and when such a rotation is found on an otherwise pristine coin, the value jumps significantly. Now, let's talk about the condition because this is a key factor in determining value. Most 1994 D pennies were heavily circulated, used for years, and show signs of wear and corrosion because of their zinc core, which tends to react with moisture and air. Finding one in mint condition, especially with a major error, is like finding a needle in a haystack, and that's why uncirculated examples with brilliant red luster are so prized. Professional grading by companies like PCGS, NGC, or Anax can make a huge difference because a coin that might look ordinary to the naked eye could actually be a multimillion-dollar treasure under magnification and professional evaluation. A perfect MS-68 or MS-69 red example with a dramatic mint error could easily command 6 or even 7 figures at auction, depending on the severity and uniqueness of the error. The current record-breaking examples of 1994 D-error pennies are believed to have reached the $4 million mark due to their combination of doubling, off-center striking, and possible off-metal composition, along with their pristine, almost untouched condition. The story behind how these coins left the mint is also fascinating. During the early to mid-1990s, the Denver Mint was operating at full capacity, producing billions of coins annually, and even though machines were automated, human oversight was still necessary to maintain quality. A single misalignment in the die setup, a failure to properly clean the machinery, or a momentary lapse during hubbing could result in these extraordinary mint errors. In some cases, multiple errors occurred simultaneously, like a misaligned die striking an off-metal planchet, and these combination errors are the holy grail for collectors. They demonstrate how an ordinary production day can accidentally give birth to something so rare that it defies probability. The 1994 D penny is also part of a broader story of modern minting history, as the 1990s marked a transitional era in U.S. coin production with new die-making technology, digital engraving, and stricter quality control, yet these advancements ironically make major errors from this period even more valuable because they're not supposed to happen. When a serious minting mistake emerges from an era of precision, it becomes a true anomaly, a fluke against perfection, and that's exactly why the 1994 D penny has become such a legend. Collectors often compare it to other iconic errors like the 1955 double die penny, the 1983 copper transitional cent, and the 1999 wide AM cent, all coins that turned up unexpectedly in circulation and became worth small fortunes. The 1994 D penny joins their ranks, representing the modern face of minting mystery. Next, 1992 1-cent coin. Everyone to our channel where we dive deep into the world of rare and valuable coins that could be hiding in your pocket change, and today's incredible story will absolutely blow your mind because we're talking about the 1992 1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary Lincoln penny that for most people might look like just another piece of change, but in reality, this coin can be worth a jaw-dropping $3 million due to a rare and fascinating combination of minting errors, die varieties, and production anomalies that make it one of the most sought-after and mysterious Lincoln cents ever discovered, and what makes this even more exciting is that this coin was minted during a transitional period in U.S. coinage history when subtle design changes and die updates were being implemented, leading to a perfect storm of mistakes that collectors now chase with obsession. So sit tight and let's journey into the captivating story of the 1992 1-cent coin that became worth millions, how it was made, what went wrong, what makes it different, and why it continues to mesmerize coin experts and collectors to this day. The 1992 penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial series that ran from 1959 to 2008, featuring the iconic bust of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse designed by Victor David Brenner and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse by Frank Gasparo. But what happened in 1992 was no ordinary minting year because it marked the quiet introduction of a new reverse design that was not meant to appear until the following year, creating one of the most legendary modern mint errors ever known, the 1992 close AM variety. To understand why this error is so valuable, you have to know the difference between the wide AM and close AM designs on the reverse of the coin. From 1959 through 1992, the Lincoln Memorial reverse used a design where the letters A and M in America were spaced apart with a clear gap between them, known as the wide AM. But starting in 1993, the mint introduced a new reverse design originally created for proof coins, which had the A and M very close together, almost touching. And this close AM design was supposed to appear only on proof strikes until 1993 when it became the standard for all regular circulation coins. However, by mistake, a few 1992 pennies were struck with this 1993 proof-style close AM reverse, creating one of the rarest and most valuable Lincoln cent varieties ever produced. The mix-up happened because during die preparation, a proof reverse die was accidentally used in the regular production run of 1992 cents at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, leading to two famous varieties known as the 1992 Close AM and the 1992 D Close AM, and both are worth huge amounts of money, especially in high-grade condition. For most coins, this kind of small design difference would go unnoticed, but for collectors and experts, it's these subtle mistakes that make a coin worth millions. The 1992 Close AM penny shows the letters A and M in America almost touching, unlike the wide gap seen in normal 1992 cents, and another subtle difference is that the designer's initials, FG, on the reverse, for Frank Gasparo, appear slightly closer to the memorial building and have a sharper, more defined look, which helps distinguish it from the regular version. These small details make a massive difference in value because they prove that the coin was struck using the wrong die, essentially making it a hybrid between two production years, a transitional error that collectors adore. The 1992 Close AM variety was unknown to the public for years until a sharp-eyed collector discovered one and realized its significance. Since then, only a handful have been found, with perhaps fewer than 20 known examples from both the Philadelphia and Denver mints combined, making them astronomically rare. One pristine example sold at auction for nearly $25,000, another for over $20,000, but experts estimate that the absolute finest possible specimen, an uncirculated, red luster 1992 Close AM penny with perfect details, could easily reach or exceed $3 million if it were to appear today because of the combination of its rarity, historical importance, and collector demand. But the Close AM isn't the only kind of error that gives the 1992 penny its incredible reputation. Other varieties and mistakes from this year add even more intrigue. Some 1992 pennies show minor doubling on the obverse, where the date, letters in Liberty, or the motto, In God We Trust, appear doubled due to slight misalignment during die creation, known as a double die error. Though most examples of this doubling are light, a strong one combined with the Close AM reverse would create a one-of-a-kind coin that could command a fortune. Others have been found with striking errors such as off-center strikes, where the design is shifted toward one edge of the coin, leaving part of the blank planchet visible. The further off-center the strike, especially if the date remains visible, the more valuable the coin becomes. Some examples show die cracks or cuts, where pieces of the die broke during striking, leaving raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin surface that make it unique. Even a small die crack near Lincoln's head or along the rim can dramatically increase interest among collectors who specialize in these kinds of die-state varieties. Another error type that occasionally appears on 1992 pennies is the broad strike, where the retaining collar fails to properly hold the coin during minting, allowing it to spread outward and lose its raised rim, producing a smooth-edged coin that looks wider than normal but still shows a full design. Such pieces are visually striking and always attract collectors' attention. On top of that, some 1992 cents have been discovered struck through grease or debris, where foreign material on the die causes parts of the design to be faint or missing entirely, resulting in coins with partially invisible dates or mottos, which are very collectible when dramatic and clearly visible. Another fascinating aspect of the 1992 pennies is that the year represents one of the last times before major digital design updates began influencing coin production at the mint, so all the dies were still being engraved and hubbed using traditional mechanical methods, making die variety errors more likely. This transitional period is why we see so many subtle design shifts and mistakes that have become legendary among collectors. Now, let's talk about the Denver Mint specifically because the 1992 D Close AM penny is the more famous and more valuable of the two varieties. The Denver Mint was responsible for producing billions of pennies for circulation in 1992, and among those billions, only a few were accidentally struck with the wrong reverse die. This makes the 1992 D Close AM one of the rarest Lincoln cents ever discovered, so rare that only a couple of examples have been confirmed by major grading companies like PCGS and NGC, both fetching huge prices at auction. Experts believe that the dies responsible for these mistakes were originally intended for proof coin production and somehow got mixed in with the circulation dies, which were then used on high-speed presses at the Denver Mint before anyone noticed. This kind of mix-up is extremely rare because dies are carefully tracked and catalogued, making it almost impossible for proof and circulation dies to be interchanged, but when it does happen, the resulting coins are among the most valuable in the world, and the 1992 D close AM penny is the perfect example of that. It's often compared to the famous 1999 wide AM penny and the 1998 and 2000 wide AM varieties, similar mistakes in reverse design use, but the 1992 close AM remains the earliest and rarest of them all. The possibility that a small number of 1992 D close AM coins are still out there in circulation keeps collectors searching tirelessly through rolls, bags, and boxes of pennies, hoping to find one of these multi-million-dollar treasures. Even though decades have passed, new discoveries still occasionally surface, and each new find reignites excitement across the numismatic community. But the story of the 1992 penny doesn't stop with the close AM. Some examples from that year have also been reported with off-metal strikes, coins that were struck on planchets meant for other denominations or years. A 1-cent coin struck on a copper planchet from pre-1982 or even on a foreign coin blank would be extremely rare and could easily fetch tens of thousands or more. There are also rumors of 1992 pennies struck on experimental planchets or test pieces during the transition between zinc and copper compositions, though few have been confirmed. These off-metal and transitional errors represent the pinnacle of minting anomalies and often sell for record-breaking prices when authenticated. The condition of a 1992 penny plays an enormous role in determining its value too. A heavily circulated coin might only be worth face value, but an uncirculated or mint-state coin with bright red luster can be worth hundreds even without a major error. Add in the close AM variety or a dramatic striking error, and the price explodes exponentially. A pristine, high-grade 1992 D close AM penny graded MS 67 or higher could easily fetch millions because of its scarcity and condition. Last 1991 cent coin, everyone to our channel where we explore the hidden treasures that might be sitting right in your pocket change, and today's story is going to absolutely amaze you because we're talking about the 1991 cent coin that has shocked collectors and experts alike by being worth up to $2 million due to its incredible errors, mistakes, and minting anomalies that turned an ordinary Lincoln penny into a rare and valuable piece of numismatic history, so sit tight and stay tuned as we uncover everything you need to know about the mysterious and rare 1990 penny, why it's worth so much, what kinds of mistakes make it valuable, and how you might just have one of these multi-million-dollar coins hiding in your collection or pocket right now, because this is one of the most fascinating stories of modern U.S. coinage that combines history, human error, and pure luck. The 1991 cent coin belongs to the long-running Lincoln Memorial series, featuring the bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, but what makes this year's coin stand out is that it was produced during a critical transitional period in the U.S. mint's history when new technologies were being introduced, design changes were being implemented, and mint marks were being phased out and retooled, leading to several unintentional mistakes and varieties that would later become legendary among collectors. The most famous of all these is the 1990 no-S proof Lincoln cent, a coin that was struck without the S mint mark that should have appeared just below the date, indicating it was minted at the San Francisco Mint. This missing mint mark error was caused by a die that had never been punched with the S mint mark before it was used to strike proof coins. Proof coins are specially made for collectors and are struck multiple times with polished dies to create sharp details and mirror-like surfaces, and each proof coin should bear the mint mark of the facility that produced it, but in this rare case, one proof die was left unpunched, and several hundred coins were struck without the S, creating one of the rarest modern proof pennies in existence. Only a few hundred 1990 no-S proof cents are known to exist, and they have sold for staggering prices at auction, with pristine examples fetching over $20,000 to $50,000 depending on grade, but experts estimate that if a flawless specimen graded PR70 ever appeared, it could sell for well over $2 million due to its rarity, demand, and significance in minting history. However, that's not the only reason 1990 pennies are valuable. There are also other incredible minting errors that occurred during this year that can make these coins worth huge amounts of money. One of the most dramatic is the double die error, where the coin's design appears slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during the hubbing process when the coin's design is transferred onto the die. Some 1990 pennies show doubling in the date, in the letters of Liberty, or in the phrase, "In God We Trust," creating a fascinating visual effect that can dramatically increase the coin's value. The stronger and more visible the doubling, the higher the value, with some examples selling for thousands even in circulated condition. Then there are the off-center strikes, another popular type of minting error that can make a 1990 penny worth big money. These happen when the coin blank, known as a planchet, is not properly centered under the dies during striking, causing part of the design to be missing while leaving a blank crescent on the coin. The more off-center the strike, while still showing the full date, the more valuable the coin becomes, with extreme examples sometimes worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Another type of error that collectors look for in 1990 pennies is the broad strike, which occurs when the retaining collar that holds the coin in place during striking fails, allowing the metal to expand outward and produce a wider, flatter coin with no raised rim. Broad strikes can look very unusual, and if combined with a sharp strike and visible details, they can bring premium prices. Some 1990 pennies have also been found with die cracks and cuds. These happen when a die begins to wear out or break during production, leaving raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the coin's surface. Die cracks can appear across Lincoln's head, near the date, or along the rim, and depending on how dramatic the break is, the coin's value can soar. Large cuds, where a piece of the die completely breaks off, create striking raised areas on the coin and are extremely collectible, especially when they affect key parts of the design like Lincoln's face or the lettering. There are also examples of 1990 pennies struck through grease or debris, where foreign material on the die prevents part of the design from being fully struck. These coins often have missing or faint areas of design, such as missing letters or parts of Lincoln's bust, and when these errors are clear and dramatic, they are worth a lot of money. Another exciting possibility for the 1990 penny is the off-metal error, where the coin is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another denomination or even another country. Imagine a 1990 penny struck on a dime planchet or a foreign coin blank. The size and weight would be different, and collectors go crazy for these unique pieces. Off-metal errors are rare but can fetch thousands or tens of thousands depending on the metal and condition. There are even rumors of transitional planchets being used in 1990, meaning coins struck on leftover blanks from earlier years or test pieces for later designs, and these are especially valuable because they mark shifts in U.S. mint production methods. Speaking of transitions, 1990 was a special year because it marked the last time proof cents bore the S mint mark until the mint switched its system for mint mark application, making the 1990 No S penny even more historically significant. Around this period, the U.S. Mint was updating its die-making process, moving from manual mintmark punching to computer-assisted engraving, meaning that mintmarks would be included directly in the master die instead of being added by hand. This shift reduced human error but also meant that transitional mistakes, like the missing mintmark, would never happen again. That's why the 1990 No S proof penny represents the end of an era and is often called the last great mintmark error by collectors. Now imagine owning one of these coins in perfect proof condition with mirror fields and frosted devices. It's not just a coin, it's a piece of American minting history worth millions. Even the regular 1990 pennies from Philadelphia and Denver can hold surprises because some of them show subtle varieties caused by die polishing, repunched mint marks, and die deterioration doubling. The 1990 D penny, minted in Denver, is particularly interesting because it was produced in massive numbers, over 4 billion pieces, but among those billions could hide a handful of incredible errors. A repunched mint mark, where the D was struck twice at slightly different angles, can add value, as can coins with small die chips inside the mint mark or other parts of the design. In high-grade uncirculated condition, especially with full red color and no contact marks, 1990 D pennies can bring hundreds of dollars even without major errors. Combine that with an off-center strike, double die, or die break, and you're looking at a potentially 4-, 5-, or even 6-figure coin. Collectors also prize 1990 pennies with unusual toning or coloration, caused by environmental exposure or chemical reactions on the coin's copper-plated zinc surface. Beautiful rainbow toning or rich gold hues can make a coin visually stunning and worth significantly more to collectors seeking eye appeal. The 1990 pennies composition is another interesting factor. It's made of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, introduced in 1982 to replace the solid copper alloy that had been used for decades. However, mistakes can happen if leftover copper planchets from earlier production runs were accidentally used, resulting in a heavier coin that would attract enormous attention. Weighing a 1990 penny is a good way to check. If it weighs around 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams, it could be one of those ultra-rare off-metal strikes that could be worth tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. There have even been reports of experimental pieces and test strikes from around that period that escaped into circulation, and if one of those bore the 1990 date, it could be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The story of the 1990 penny also connects to broader trends in coin collecting because it highlights how even small errors in modern coins can become legendary. Before the discovery of the 1990 no-S-proof penny, most people assumed that modern minting technology was too precise to allow major errors, but this coin proved that mistakes still happen, and when they do, they can be worth a fortune. It reminded collectors to always check their coins carefully, because even a seemingly perfect modern proof could contain a hidden treasure. It also reignited interest in mintmark varieties, encouraging people to go back and check earlier and later proof sets for similar mistakes. The excitement around the 1990 penny also boosted awareness.